All right, joining me now is Zach Faulkner, who's going to be fighting Mike Murray for the vacant amateur welterweight title at NEF 46. Zach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and I was telling you before we went live here. I'm really excited for this fight. Mike's a great fighter here, and so are you. This is a really interesting matchup. First, let's talk about your camp, how it's been thus far. I know previously you had trained with Marcus Davis. So, who are you with now? And tell me a little bit about your training partners.
So now I'm with Recon in Westbrook. Used to be Team Irish years ago. So kind of still being loyal to Team Irish in a way. A lot of the same guys are here. My main training partners right now are John Dupree and Henry Clark, both animals. And, occasionally get some kickboxing work in with Aaron Waite and Matt Probin when he's here.
Okay, so you got a lot of good training partners around you, and boy, John Dupree sure looked good his last time out, beating Matt Denning. As far as like your day-to-day life goes with your work and fitting in training, tell me a little bit more about that dynamic, and how often you're actually able to get in there and get your training in.
Yeah, so I was working for Coach Dupree for a little bit for his property management company, but that wasn't really my thing. So right now, I've just been focusing more on training. So I usually try to get in 2 days if I can. Come in the morning with like Henry and do pads and grappling, and then afternoon usually is team training, and then night classes. I teach youth MMA and then an MMA class for adults later in the week.
Wow. So you're full-time MMA, man. That's what you're doing day of the
Yeah.
sunrise to the sundown. That's fantastic. Wow. Okay. So do you talk to Marcus anymore? Like I know he's in North Carolina now, but how often does that dialogue happen?
Yeah, so I'll text him every once in a while. I actually got to go down to his fight when he had come back up for it and got to talk to him a little bit there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he got the win. Clearly, I mean, no surprise there. The guy's an animal. As far as some of the fallout that happened with him not being paid, do you know anything about that? Is there anything that you can elaborate that hasn't already been said?
I don't know too much. I haven't talked to him about that specifically. But I know like going into it, he seemed to be, all right with the promoters and everything. So I was just surprised to hear that they didn't pay him, especially where, he was the biggest name on the card with like Barrow not fighting. So I was
Yeah.
just shocked that they didn't pay him.
Yeah, it's really an unfortunate situation there. Do you know, is he going to fight again? Or was this just kind of, I'm going to come back after so many years away, show I can still do it, and walk off into the sunset?
When I talked to him, I believe he had said he wanted to shoot for 3 fights at least and then, be done. But I think it'll depend on, who offers him a fight now and who's willing to pay him. But
It'd be pretty
I
cool
think
for NEF to put him on the same card as you, right? I mean, how cool would that
that
be?
that would be awesome. That'd be sick.
Yeah, no doubt. And this fight with Mike is at 170. What do you typically walk around at? What is that cut like for you to get to welterweight?
It's not bad at all, really. Usually I walk at like 180 pounds. I was a little bit heavier this camp, just where I've been more on like a focused strength and conditioning program. So kind of built a bit more muscle and was like walking around heavier. But yeah, it's not a bad cut at all for me. I think ideally in the future, I'd like to try to go 55, but right now I'm not worried about that, especially as an amateur.
Sure. Well, let's talk about that here. When you might go pro, if you win this belt, are you going to stick around and defend it a couple of times, or are you thinking that you're getting close to turning pro?
Uh, to be honest, I haven't really thought about that much. I've kind of tried to be laser focused on Mike, not worrying about, what's going to happen after the fight and all that. I'll sit down and like talk to Coach Dupree and Coach Darren and, get Marcus into the conversation too after the fight, and depending on what the result is, talk to them about that and see what they think. For me personally, I think maybe one more tough amateur fight and then try to go pro. But again, it's not all up to me. It's up to the coaches too.
Mhm. I did want to get your thoughts too on your most recent performance. You had a unanimous decision victory over Curtis Ouellette. That was at NEF 44. I know you're probably always looking for a finish, right? I mean, why would you want to stay in there any longer than you have to? But like, how pleased are you with that win? I mean, he's a tough guy, so getting a UD win over him must have been a good feeling for you and your team.
Yeah, it was great. Definitely weird going the distance. All my other fights had been finishes. But yeah, it was definitely a hard fight too. I could not believe in the first round when I hit that clean head kick and he looked at me and stuck his tongue out. I was like, how did you just eat that, man? Like, that was clean. But yeah, super tough guy, super nice guy. We talked a little bit after. It was good to go in there and like fight all 3 rounds and know that I'm able to do it. But yeah, I definitely wanted a finish. I think I chased it a little bit too much, like with the guillotines. But overall, I think it was a good performance, and I showed I had improved since that loss I had in North Carolina.
When you landed that head kick, I do remember that, and it was flush. Did you think to yourself like, oh man, this could be a grueling long night? Did it shake your confidence or your psyche at all, or did it just make you dig in and focus even more?
In the moment, I was kind of like, okay, this is gonna be like a hard fight, but it didn't really like mentally. I wasn't like panicking or anything. I was just kind of getting myself ready for like potentially going all 3 rounds. And we kind of knew going into it that he was going to be tough and hard to put away. Just watching his other fights, and he made his debut against Liam Fagan, who used to train here. So Darren and Coach Dupree already had experience like cornering against him. But yeah, we knew he was going to be tough. I wanted the finish bad, but I knew kind of in the back of my head, like going into it, I probably wasn't going to get it. But
Well, hey, a win's a win, and that was a nice one over a tough opponent. I did want to get your take on how you've grown since you suffered that loss. Like, how are you a better mixed martial artist now? Like, what did you take from that setback moving forward?
I mean, initially afterwards, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to fight again. Just that kind of crushed me. Like, having everybody kind of tell you what kill you are, and wanting to go undefeated as an amateur and win a title and all that. It was like losing. I was like, damn, maybe I'm not able to like hang with these guys, and that kind of stuff. Just getting down on myself. And then we moved back to Maine, obviously, and I was training down in the Boston area, and I was feeling good with the guys that I was training with there. COVID hit, and I was out of training for a while, and I was like still not really wanting or not sure if I was going to fight. And then I got set up with the guys here at Recon, and the first time I trained with Coach Dupree, he just tooled on me wrestling. So I think that was the biggest thing for me losing that fight was I needed to work on my wrestling and stuff. And with Coach Dupree, I feel like that's where I've grown the most. But also, all my other fights, I would go in and try to rush the finish as fast as I could. And I think that last fight I had with Curtis showed like, I'm not going to go in there and try to take you out with one shot, which is what I was trying to do with that guy I lost to in North Carolina. I was just going out and trying to hit him in the chin as hard as I could until he fell. And, especially for a 5-round fight, like that's not a smart way to try to go out there and fight. So I think, just fighting smarter is how I've kind of grown.
I love it, man. The smarter you get inside of the cage, the further you'll go. That's for sure. Let's talk about this matchup with Mike Murray. He's 3-2. When you look at the guys he's lost to, I mean, he's lost to some studs. Zach Richard, Tim Birkenhead, both of those guys are well-rounded fighters. So when you look at Mike, I mean, he throws a lot of flashy kicks. He's a very athletic guy. He's tall. He's long. How do you like this matchup? What are you expecting from him come fight night?
I think, he'll definitely be willing to stand with me. He seems like that's where he likes to be. And, it could be a good technical kickboxing match in an MMA cage. But, he grapples a lot. He's been in a lot of grappling tournaments. He may try to take me down and, we might end up grappling. I think it'll be a good display of like all parts of the game, from both of us, because I think we're both pretty well rounded.
So how do you see this fight ending? Do you feel like you're going to hold a significant advantage in one area? You're going to be able to finish him, or do you feel like this could be a fight where it could go the distance?
I think this one could go the distance for sure. He's only been finished once, I think, by Birkenhead, and that was by a knee bar. He's fought tough guys. He's fought in Muay Thai. And like I said, like he does jiu-jitsu all the time. I think he's going to be hard to finish. So I think, mentally I'm preparing myself to go in there and fight him for 5 rounds.
All right. I cannot wait. It's going down at the Aura nightclub in Portland, Maine, NEF 46, Zach Faulkner and Mike Murray for the vacant 170-pound amateur title. Pleasure talking to you again, my man. It's been far too long. Looking forward to seeing you come fight night. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors you may have, the floor is yours.
The only social media I really use is Instagram, and that's Zach_Faulkner99. And then for my sponsors, MMA Co., Badge of Honor Co., Oceanside Property Management.